So I found this John Anderson bloke. He's got a nice suit. He's old. He looks like he knows what he's talking about. And he also echoes a lot of the no rhetoric. He made a video, 4 myths debunking the Yes campaign. It's well produced. It's got lots of numbers and figures and stuff. I'm going to show you why it's bullshit. Fuck. Look how he tries to appeal to authority.
As has been observed and clearly pointed out by many senior journalists, constitutional experts and lawyers, it may be the most radical and unpredictable constitutional alteration in our history.
3 headlines and lots of little vague kind of to look like there's way more headlines. 2 from news articles with vested interests. I didn't look at those, I couldn't be fucked. Another from the Australian Financial Review. I think they're pretty reliable, you'd think. But I looked at the article, and literally the second sentence says that 2 of the former High Court judges are actually for the Voice, and 1 is against. And it doesn't even mention anything about the current High Court judges. But John has a thoughtful question.
Why would you lock it into the Constitution in perpetuity? That is to imply that its work will never be finished and will always be looking for areas of disagreement.
The only disagreement possible is if the government ignores the body of elders. But if this results in damage to communities, there'll be a disagreement, putting it lightly. Anyway, that's putting aside the fact that it's literally the point of a government to discuss disagreements to find the most effective way to help its citizens. The Voice would hold them accountable to these decisions and stop them wasting your money creating
a real sense that many of the programs that have been put in place have actually encouraged division, fed disunity, not improved them, and that's borne out now by the research.
The second myth, they are underrepresented. I mean, yeah, he does a good job of debunking this. I don't think that's really what people are saying in the Yes campaign.
The truth is, our Parliament represents Aboriginal people surprisingly well. We should celebrate this achievement rather than seek to ignore it and brush it aside and say we need a better way of going around it.
But we shouldn't ignore
Fatherlessness, family breakdown, issues I'm passionate about, and they are massive problems faced by many Indigenous children. Some Indigenous communities also remain distant, it has to be said, from essential services like schools, hospitals and jobs.
How might we solve these problems? Peter Dutton, leader of the opposition, has said multiple times that he wants to stop sexual abuse of Aboriginal children. Yet he has refused to speak with Aboriginal academics. Isn't that something you'd think he'd do? Wouldn't they know more than him, having spent their entire lives studying First Nations interactions with the law? Instead, as Indigenous Affairs reporter Jack Ladamore puts it, Dutton's approach is reminiscent of the 2007 Northern Territory intervention, a police crackdown that undeniably made the problems worse and cost taxpayers upwards of $1 billion. If John is concerned about the cost to taxpayers, which he covers later in the video, why would he leave out this fact? The Voice would require he talk to them. Doesn't even have to listen. At least then he'd know what he might do is probably stupid, but it would be that much harder to cover up. Wait. No. John's going to blow our minds with some more statistics.
There are over 50 peak councils in Australia that represent thousands of Aboriginal bodies. And within the Commonwealth Government, there is a dedicated Indigenous Affairs Minister, and there are equivalent ministers and departments in our state and territory governments. I believe there are more than enough structures assisting Indigenous Australians in need. The issue is, what are they doing?
Yeah, so clearly something's not working. Maybe we could try a more structural solution.
But we don't need a new additional layer of bureaucracy locked into the Constitution.
So problems with bureaucracy. I know a lot of people shit themselves when they hear that word, but bureaucracy lets us run our institutions on a mass scale, like transporting food from farms to the supermarket. If done correctly, bureaucracy is a good thing. But if it's being done incorrectly, like you say it is, yourself, we should probably investigate it. Try and come up with a solution. This is another funny clip.
By placing the blame on history, supporters of the Voice present an incomplete view of that history and distract from the tragic reality of generational welfare dependency, fatherlessness, social breakdown, and other factors contributing to the plight of disadvantaged.
How do you think this came about, John? Have you heard of cause and effect? Surely you're not saying it's inherent to their culture. No, my bad. He's using his practical 4D chess mind to defy the emotional narrative that I've been clearly swept up to believe. Or
it is simplistic and misleading to attribute all disadvantage to colonisation.
How is this a simple process? By using this word, we're obviously implying a very complex system. Building a town takes at least a few years. A city could take a century. When are we no longer settling? For the control part, well, First Nations people are subject to our laws. When they commit a crime, they are controlled by our prison system, which is completely different to their own laws and customs. Or we could use the second definition. That includes farming, mining, cutting down trees, basically everything we do here. No one is saying it's simplistic, John. The point is that colonisation has structurally placed all of these problems on First Nations people, so we need a structural remedy. Here's another clip.
Would divide Australians according to their race.
Surely the highest proportional incarceration rates in the world are more racially decisive than any non-binding consultation process. Society isn't either equal or not equal. Like pretty much everything, it's a scale with lots of complicated factors going into it. You seem to be so big on complexity, John. Surely you can understand this. Oh wait, again, he's caught me out. The voice is...
Creating a special group right.
The voice gives no special rights to First Nations people. It is only a more efficient system of moving them to the base level outcomes that other demographics have. That means proportionally accurate incarceration rates, drug abuse, and fatherlessness. You're so keen to point out that despite
tens of billions of dollars spent every year to close the gap, we haven't closed it.
But you still seem optimistic. You think
we need to find, and we can find, a better way.
Any ideas, John? Are you going to go through the extensive consultation process to come up with some groundbreaking solution that would magically solve these problems? All you say is shit, 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 while committing, 10 logical fallacies? I've already outlined in my other video, see above, fuck. I've already outlined in my other video why any effort made by the Labor Party will be met with a slew of lies. Would you prefer a proposal by the Liberal Party, who has been exposed time and time again to be corrupt and ineffective in dealing with these problems? Hannah McGlade wrote her PhD on sexual abuse of Aboriginal children. She says thousands of complaints by Aboriginal women have been ignored by the government. Quote, "Voice, treaty and truth gives First Nations people a chance to repair their past with honesty and integrity and improve their people's lives today, tackling many issues, especially incarceration, child removal and suicide rates, government neglect and laws that contribute to it."